Hey guys, it's Claire Akin with the Fiddle Leaf Fig Plant Resource Center, and today I want to do another installment of what's wrong with my Fiddle Leaf Fig. Now, I just got this plant. My friend Amy brought it over. She is moving. Hi, Amy. And this plant is kind of suffering. As you can see, it has 4 leaves, and it has lost all of these leaves over the course of the past few months, and it's just not looking good. Another thing that's happening, let me see if I can plop it down here for you guys, is it has some browning and some marks on the leaves. And so a lot of times this happens with fiddle leaf figs is people ask me what's wrong with my plant, and there's actually 2 or more things going wrong with their plant. So the first thing that I think is happening with this fiddle leaf fig is that it had root rot, because all of the leaves except for these 4 leaves have dropped off. And the reason that I think it's root rot, it could have been, other things. For all I know, somebody could have cut off these leaves. But the reason that I believe that it's root rot is because it lost all of the lower leaves first and the top leaves were preserved. And that's a pretty telltale sign of what we see with typical root rot in fiddle leaf figs. Another thing that's happening is once Amy realized that it was suffering from root rot, she put it outside to give it some more light, which is a good idea. But the problem is that it got a little bit too much sun, and you can see that it's sunburned. So this is the sunburns on the plant. It's a bummer because the few remaining leaves that are there's only 4 leaves, and one of them is pretty badly sunburnt. So I think those are the most common things that I see is, something's going wrong with somebody's plant, and so they make a drastic deviation to try to fix it, and sometimes it ends up doing more harm than good. So we have the root rot. We have the sunburn. Also, I will say that this pot is too big for this plant. So this is a huge, heavy pot with pretty dense soil, and it's a small plant with a relatively small root ball. What I think happened is it probably got way too wet, it probably didn't dry out, and it got root rot. And so what I'm going to do with this plant, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to repot it. So I'm going to put it in a pot that is probably 8 inches in diameter, probably 8 inches in depth, and I'll fill the lower third with our houseplant smart gravel, which are these big balls that raise up and aerate the roots. Then I'm going to use fiddle leaf fig potting soil, which is super light and it won't sit in water. And then I'm going to leave this plant outside under a pergola, and that's going to help it to get light for these remaining 4 leaves, and just to give it a little bit more warmth and a little bit more light all day long so that it can kind of rejuvenate. Having them outside also helps prevent root rot because they dry out a lot quicker inside than outside. I won't be removing the leaves, the sunburnt leaves, until I get new growth. So I'm going to wait until there's a lot of new growth, and then I can clip off those sunburnt leaves if they bother me. There's no real reason to cut them off. They're not hideously ugly or anything. They just are a little bit discolored. So I'm going to do that. And then what I also am going to do is some notching on this plant because the growth just isn't exactly where I want. You could see here it had a branch coming out this way that made it look more balanced, and now that branch is gone. So what I'm going to do is notch it to try to give it more of a tree-like shape and try to get some new branches. And eventually, if this plant had maybe 4 branches coming out and it got some new growth, the trunk will start to get thicker. It will be a nice little fiddle leaf fig tree that I can gift to somebody else, or I can give back to Amy once it's rehabbed. So that's what I think is going wrong with this fiddle leaf fig. I hope it's helpful for you. If you have a problem with your plant, please send it in and I will answer your question next Sunday. Please like this video if it was helpful for you, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos about what's wrong with my fiddle leaf fig. Thanks for watching. Bye.